Hey, welcome back to the Real Estate Excellence Podcast with your host, Tracy Hayes. I've been looking forward to this episode for some time now. This agent in the house is firing on all cylinders. She's aggressively making moves as an influencer in the real estate space. Not rare that a former educator, kindergarten teacher, is rising quickly as a top producer. She's very involved in FAR, NAR, and even the Flagler County Habitat for Humanity. I am interested in her social media campaign, her vision in digital marketing in the real estate industry. So take notes here. She is very active and going to a lot of conferences, educating herself. Let's welcome the difference in the Megan Farrell Team difference, the Megan Farrell-Nelson of EXP Megan Farrell Team.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks Megan, for coming on.
Thanks so much for having me.
As I said, I really look at, actually met you at Rebar and then really started following you. But I'd seen some other things from you, and obviously meeting you at Rebar kind of brought things in for me.
Yeah.
And then started following you and how much you are being active. And of course, you went up and just recently went to a conference with Ryan as well there. So I'm looking forward to hearing about that.
Yeah.
And then you were at another conference just last week.
Yeah.
That sounded interesting. So we'll get to those, but let's get everybody a little groundwork on you. Where are you from?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I am originally from Pennsylvania, and I went to school to be an educator there, a kindergarten teacher, and I knew very early on in my adulthood that I did not want to shovel snow all winter. So I decided to not wait till I retired to head south. I lived in North Carolina for several years and taught kindergarten and pre-kindergarten there.
Right. I
absolutely loved it, but life circumstances brought me even further south to a city I'd never heard of called Palm Coast, Florida.
Right.
And I ended up making my way down there. I left in the middle of the school year. I had saved up some money, and I also was in in a situation where I didn't actually have to work at the time. So 26 years old, moved to Florida, just try to figure out my bearings. And one day, my one friend that I was down there with was like, hey, why don't you try real estate? And I was like, real estate? Like, I know nothing about houses. I know nothing about
You don't even probably own a house at this time,
at that time I didn't own a house. I knew one person. He owned a house. His two best friends were realtors. So I literally had no clue about how to do any of it. And they told me, you like people and you're friendly, so go try.
Right.
And 9 years later, actually this month, May of 2013, I got my license. And 9 years later, I am still at it. So beat that first year
Well,
statistic.
there's no doubt if you and anyone listening should be following you on social media. You could see the passion and the energy. I think you made I assume that post was from this morning, just saying, "Hey everybody, I'm up and I'm ready to go." And every time you're on social media, you're pouring out energy.
Thank you.
To everyone. So I imagine that drive down 95. This is like December, January of that year, because you said mid-school year you left.
January 1st, actually.
Yeah, were you thinking like, well, I'll just apply to the local schools, or?
So yeah, I was kind of just thinking. I knew how it transpired as I left, and it was really challenging for the students, really challenging for me, and I knew I didn't want to hop back in right away. Like I said, I didn't really it wasn't like a have to get a job situation, and I really thought I was going to enjoy not working. I really did. I was like, I'm moving to the beach. It'll be great. But it turns out like everyone else worked. So I had no one to spend time with, right? I remember my best friend.
Well, the people in Palm Coast that don't work are like 3 times your age.
They weren't my age demographic. I did make some great friends, but didn't have a lot in common. But no, my friend texted me one day and she's like, so are you like bored out of your mind? I'm like, yeah, why? She's like, because you're literally the only person on my Pinterest page pinning things all day long. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so funny. I didn't even think about it, right? But yeah, so I had an experience in sales. I actually worked for Vector Marketing, which, if you don't know, is actually Cutco. Oh. So I sold Cutco knives when I was 22, 23 to pay for 21 or 22 to pay for my study abroad. I did my student teaching in Ireland.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it was like when you looked for jobs in newspapers, and I saw this little ad, like how much you could make, and I had no idea what sales was, right? I was like, oh my God, I can make.
So because I was an education major.
Yeah.
So the spring of my senior year, that's when you go do your student teaching course.
I actually did
They
mine
actually
in the
allowed
fall.
you to do that in Ireland.
Yeah, so I did mine in the fall because of how they set it up. So I did an extra semester, and I was a double major. So that whole summer between, I graduated but didn't have my license to teach because I needed to fulfill that commitment.
Right.
And that summer, I was like, I can make 10 grand over the summer. This is great.
Right.
I didn't know I would be calling people out of a phone book to buy knives, but I did know I needed to pay for my school,
right,
and I needed to pay for everything that comes along with studying abroad. And I knew I didn't want to go to Europe and be like having to pinch pennies and not being able to take the weekend.
Have some fun. Yeah.
So I knew I wanted to work hard, and that was actually my start in sales. And I remember walking in the door, like not realizing everyone gets the sales job, by the way. I was like, Mom, I got the job. She's like, of course you did, honey. Like, they want you to go sell their product. But I had no idea how hard it was going to be. And I really, truly believe that is the foundation of my real estate success. Because, and I still have my 2008 Top Sales of the Summer award. And I like, it was hard. And my mom told me, she's like, it's going to be hard. You're not going to like it. And I'm like, what do you mean it's going to be hard? It's not, it can't be that hard. And I literally remember her walking out. I was sitting on our porch at my parents' house with the house phone and the phone book, crying. And she's like, oh, honey, like, you don't have to do this. And I was like, no, I will do it. And I just, like, got back to making calls. And,
it seems like when immediately they want you to call your at least like friends and family, right? To
same scenario.
Go practice on.
Yeah. So like, just tell them you're gonna come over and like do a demo, cut a penny, sharpen some knives for them. And, I was passionate about it. I learned from there. I learned scripts from that. I followed that script to a T. I learned the process, like the sales, like a listing appointment.
Well,
right?
let's take that for a moment.
Sure.
So, for lack of better description, you didn't know any better, right?
No, I knew no better.
And you're given the script, and you executed on it, and obviously started to see some success with it.
Yeah, verbatim, didn't go off the script.
Right, and then which encouraged you to continue to go on the script.
Yeah,
and be better and better at it, and obviously memorizing it and being able to act it out, and the type of thing. So those starting new, and we have a lot of new loan officers here. You got to get on there. You got to practice that script, get sharp at it, and the better you're at it, the more success you should have.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people these scripts are not written overnight. They generally have generation over time have evolved.
And tweaked. And I will tell you that I, right now, at 9 years, like just 9 years, so it was deep into my 8th year, I just went back and revisited scripts because I was such a I sound like a robot.
Right.
But I didn't understand, like, you learn the script and then the script comes out like you. And so this is a friendly reminder to me, too, to, like, trust the scripts and trust the process. And they even had, from the sales process of, like, you don't sit down at a listing appointment and the first thing they always ask you, right, is how much was my house worth and how much is this going to cost me? You don't answer that, right? Because then they're going to be like, okay, out.
You've given them what they wanted.
Yeah. And you haven't showed your value. And so I learned from Cutco that I needed to go through the entire process of cutting a penny. If anyone's ever had someone come to their house, they cut a penny with scissors. You cut leather. You cut all sorts of things with the knives, right? Like, you demonstrate the value.
Right.
And then at the end, and then also I had a little page where I had a thermometer that showed, like, my goal is this amount for my study abroad, and I let people, like, color the thermometer. So I showed it at the beginning, and at the end they colored it, and, like, learning things like that, like sharing my goals with people was a super concrete experience of that. But now I'm not afraid. Like, Brady and I, our goal this year is to sell 100 homes or help 100 families get into a home.
Buy or sell.
Buy, sell, refer, rentals, all of it. And when someone was like, well, you need to talk about that. I was like, I can't talk about that.
Yeah.
And now I remember, oh no, that makes it connect with you. You know, like people don't want to, it's not that they don't want to, people want to be a part of something bigger than themselves, right?
Yep.
So when Brady, my husband, and I were a team, by the way, and when we talk to people about our sales goals, all of a sudden it becomes about helping my son, get swim lessons and helping a young family build a life versus
that's an interesting, so a lot of everyone has goals or what they want. Hey, I want to make so much money because I want to do this, or hey, I'm young and I want to, my cars, they want to get a new car, or whatever it is, or buy their first house or whatever.
Sure.
How do you do that? Because you are building it into your routine, your script, but also under letting them understand that you're going to do this by adding value to them.
Sure.
You're not going, hey, man, just sign here because I need 100 this year.
Right.
How do you express that?
Well, let's just go back to where you started. I think it all starts with, I show my value through social media, but I think it all starts with finding what you're competent at. Well, first break it down. What are the skills that you need to have for the job you're trying to do? Right. So if I'm going right now, I solely focus on listings. That's the point I'm at. So I know how to show my value that way. So if I'm going on a listing appointment, my value proposition looks way different than if I'm sitting down with a buyer. If I'm going on a listing appointment with someone who's ready to put their house on the market next week, that looks different than someone who's maybe just inherited their, grandparents' house, and it's a whole process to get there. So you have to know what is the job you're applying for, and then
So you want to do some due diligence before every one of these appointments.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that, if you're early on in your career or even later in your career and you're kind of having one of those lost years, I think really taking a step back from making the calls and all of that and really doing some soul searching to find out, what do you like to do? Because I think that's the key to success in this business.
What do you like to do? I have to ask that now. So what is it about everything that you do that you like the most? That if you could actually get paid for that actual action.
So building meaningful relationships, that's one of my sparks. Sparks are things that keep me alive. That's what I call them, sparks. It's not purpose. It's, if you've seen Soul, the movie, the sparks are what the little guy's trying to get. But one of my sparks is meaningful relationships. So building those relationships is super important to me. I am a true believer that the more you help people get what they need, the more you get what you want back. And we talked about this a little earlier. I'm not concerned with where the money's coming from per se. It's more of the energy of it. So I've found that I love building relationships. The more you can solve people's problems, the better. That's where money exchanges hands when problems are solved, right?
Right.
So if
that's why we have jobs.
Right.
To solve problems. Yeah.
I know. That's why. Just a little plug here. If you are complaining about your job or have something that's difficult in your job as a real estate professional, good. Because that means you will have a job for a long time, because it's easier for us to solve it than the consumer, right? Exactly. So,
or a computer, right? We've been threatened that the Zillows of the world are going to take over, and
never going to happen.
The reality is,
never going to happen.
Not in our lifetime.
But yeah, so I love building relationships. I love helping. I call myself a conduit a lot of times. You could tell me what you have going on, and I could figure out who is going to be the best to solve your problem in different ways too. If it's to save the most money, I could find someone that way. It's the highest quality, but you're going to pay more. I could find someone that way. So it's just figuring out how to solve people's problems. And
you need to put I don't think Cutco is on your LinkedIn.
Oh, I'll add it.
You need to add that
Jot
into
that down.
Yes. Add Cutco to the LinkedIn, because it's your story.
It kind of is.
Yeah,
I never really realized it before.
Yeah, because I actually started off with Onslow County Schools.
Yeah.
And obviously you were a kindergarten teacher, so I'm going to spin that to what did you take from there that you actually use today, or what did you learn? Anything from being in the education world?
Well, I think that I taught, like I said earlier, I taught kindergarten and pre-K, which are 4 and 5-year-olds. And to me, that was like the best job ever. I was always like the best singer and like the coolest. But I went from taking care of people's most valuable possession, right? Their babies.
Yeah.
And having to go through all that entails is the first year at school with parents and stuff. And I went from that to handling most of the times the biggest investment someone makes, right, is in their home. And it's not just, to me, it's not a pair of shoes, right? It's actually where you're going to raise your child, or it's, if you're selling, it's helping you take that next step up in your income or protecting whatever asset you need. Right. And so I went from the most valuable, like, non-monetary item to like their biggest purchase.
Well, I will tell you this. I just picked this up. When you said that, the energy that came out of you is the same energy that I see in your social media when you're doing that.
Yeah,
that's your little world right there.
Yeah. I love it. I mean, I love teaching. When this is a whole other conversation for another day. But if you got me in the room with the kiddos, that was the best. It's just all the other stuff that comes with it. But it really, like, you learn about patience. You learn what is really important. And fighting over a light fixture, not super important, right? I mean, granted, depending on the fixture, of course, we're not talking like a $25,000 fixture. We're just talking about a regular one.
Right. We can change that out.
Yeah, we can change that out. But it's like that. I think that's where a lot of the stress and the problems come in this industry, is that everything becomes so personal and so like important. And it's like, okay, at the end of the day, these people want to buy, these people want to sell. Let's figure out how to merge them together while keeping everyone's best interest at heart. And also, like, don't take everything so seriously. It is serious. You need to, but let's not get in a fight about a fixture.
And nothing is like, nothing happens overnight in our business anyway.
No.
It takes time, and things evolve, and people go home and they think about it, and then come, and what they said and so forth. So you started you were getting in a little bit into, some people recommended you to get into real estate. So, I mean, did you go find a realtor? Well, actually, your friend had a couple friends that were agents.
Yes.
Who did you start to consult and led you?
So I went to them. This was in 2013 in Palm Coast. I went to them. I said, who do I need to go to? What do I need to do? We did a little Google search, and Watson School of Real Estate came up, and they were offering it like literally 4 days later, starting in person. So I was like, all right, that's a sign.
Did you do the week-long jam?
I didn't. I actually did 1 night a week for 12 weeks or something like that. And it was awesome. I learned a lot. I ended up staying with that company. I spent the first significant portion of my career at Watson, learned a ton there. Very, very happy with my experience. I am still very dear friends with one of the brokers in Palm Coast, Ryan Ford, and really, really enjoyed my time there. But at the end of it, we kind of grew out of that space and out of that corporate structure. Would you I mean, Watson's obviously very large in our in Florida. They offer the school all the time. Yeah. Is it a good place for someone new coming in the industry to consider? Yeah, I absolutely think that Watson has a great school. It's a little different now. The times are obviously much different, but I don't think they offer as many in-person classes. For me, it was all about the in-person education. Yeah, the in-person. That's how I learned best, and so I really sought out an in-person setting. So I'm talking like post. I mean, you got your license. I think if you're just getting your real estate license, you should call me. We're hiring. All right, we'll get to that point here. That's one of my last questions. Hopefully, we'll get to it in time. So, I mean, is there someone who takes you in? Do you grab onto a mentor? Sure. What are some of the challenges you are running into in your first year? So I think your first year in real estate, it is crucial. So the statistics are over 80% of agents fail out. I'm sure you've spoken about this before. Fail out in the first year or two. And so I think it's absolutely crucial that you set yourself up for success and sit down with people before you even get your license. Call your friends. Everyone has a friend who is a realtor. Call your friend, take them out to coffee, take them out to lunch, pick their brain about their life, and Hopefully they will be honest with you and tell you that it's hard. It's really, really hard. And just set yourself up for the first, I would say, if your head is down and you're grinding, maybe a year, you'll start to see some success. Right. But you really should plan for 18 to 24 months till you really start churning and going.
Let's say a good friend comes up to you and says, I want to get started. Maybe they want to come work with you because they see what you're doing. What are some of the first few things you're going to tell them to do?
So, well, with us, we have a couple of different beginner pathways, and I think that's important to find the right beginner pathway. For us, what we offer is mentorship program, which is just a guy. Everyone should have a mentor. I don't care what level of business you're at. I think every person should have a mentor. The only way you're gonna elevate your success, your life, anything in your life is by surrounding yourself with people who are doing what you want to do
at a higher level.
My opinion is at a higher level. At a higher level, because like my brain can't even see. Like I remember when I sat down with my mentor and he's like, okay, we're going to do a business plan. Write down what you want to make next year. And I was like, 50,000. Okay, that's a stretch. And he took it and he crossed it off. He's like, okay, so we're going to write 100. And I was like, how am I ever going to make $100,000?
Right.
And with his guidance and with surrounding myself with the right people, continuing education, getting involved with the board, in 3 years, my first full year, I made 65, and my second full year I made 104. And it wasn't because I saw that, right? It was because I put myself around somebody who pushed me out of my comfort zone and said, no, you can do this. And so I think that's important about surrounding yourself with people who are doing what you want to do, because they're going to show you the way through with a map, right? Like you're not going to go into hike a mountain by yourself with someone who's never done it.
Right.
So they're going to have a guide map for you. They're going to...
Or who's out of shape. It doesn't. You need someone that's going to push you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So finding a mentor is crucial. Joining a team. There are a lot of incredible teams in Northeast Florida, and I know you have people all over, but there's a lot of incredible teams out there, especially in Northeast Florida, to join these days. But definitely surround yourself with someone who's doing what you want to do.
So that is a common theme that from all the, this is the 69th episode, so 60-something realtor agents, top agents that I've talked, and even some of the successful business owners, surrounding yourself by top people. And it doesn't necessarily mean physically close. You going to a Ryan Serhant conference, right? You go do that. You went to your conference there. There was obviously high-level people there. Sarah Rocco recommended, go up and ask the keynote speaker if you can have a minute with them.
Oh, yeah.
To surround yourself and bond yourself with these people who maybe you're listening to their podcast.
Oh, yeah,
absolutely. They're successful in that, and they're talking about, what an agent does, and it gives you that mindset of what you should be doing.
Yeah, so I call this the balloon effect. So it's like when you blow up a balloon, right, as big as it can go. That's like how I feel like when I go to the conference, right? My brain is like expanding from the knowledge, from the speakers, from the networking, from being in a new city, that just the energy of it all. And then when I come home, sure, my balloon deflates a little, right? Even if it's deflated all the way, that balloon's never going to be the same as it was before. Right. So it's like learning, like getting your brain like stretched.
Well, I can imagine going to Ryan's thing, of course, the pomp and circumstance that I saw a lot of guys were putting on there. The show, but obviously the top people there. And the reality is, and I've expressed this before, you may spend, I'm sure you spent a good $1 flying up there, staying in New York and so forth. And maybe out of all that, your balloon was so big, but when you actually got home, it was really only a couple pieces of the 100 pieces he gave you that you grasped on, and you could immediately see, I need to input those now. But you can always go back later. And the great thing with technology, a lot of stuff is recorded, or he writes it in his book, or I'm sure you guys probably got some sort of workbook or whatever.
Yeah.
And then go back and try to grab some of those other things. But even just implementing one of those couple of things into your business moves you another.
Oh, absolutely. I always look at cost versus, or investment versus value instead of cost versus, whatever.
Return.
Yeah, because cost is like it's up to me what I do, right? I can sit in the rooms with Ryan Serhant. I can sit in rooms with any big real estate professional, and I have, because I put myself there, right? But if I go home and I don't do anything, then that's on me, right? But if I go to one of these events and I take one thing that'll move my needle just a pinch, think about the average commission right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we're looking at over 10 grand right now for our average commission. So if I can do something to help me sell one more house a year, then it's all worth it.
And the thing, that's one house this year and maybe 2 more houses next year. It starts to snowball. It's not a one-time, well, I did this, I spent thousands of dollars, all right, I sold one house, and then it ended. Yeah. You're continuing to use that tool.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And that is one of the things I really did like, just since we're talking about it, is Ryan's events. They are very, like, it gives you information that you take away that day, and I could go home and like actually do it, and that to me is the best, because I hate like
keep it simple,
stuff
stupid.
Keep it so simple. Like if you give me like a checklist, I can do that, but if you tell me a theory behind it, forget about it. So I loved that about that event we just went to.
Right. Did you actually get time to, like, I imagine everyone shakes his hand and so forth? Because, like, how many people were there? I mean,
there was only like 40.
Oh, okay. 40, so it's a fairly small group.
It was super
intimate. For a couple of days, right?
Yeah.
It was a couple day event?
Yeah, it was a one full day, and they had a VIP session the day before, and, you know, it was really, I was sitting over on the side with Stevie, and he walked in the room, and I was like, he's on TV, you know? But if you've ever met Ryan Serhant, this is the second or third time I've met him, he's just cool. He's super chill. He's a human. I love that part, because, you know, he's a real estate agent, right? And we ended up being invited to his office to go grab coffee, and we were in the hallway together, like going down the stairs and up the stairs, and he's like, he like comes out and I come out, and he's like, hey, and I was like, hey, and he's like, are you having fun? I'm like, this is so great, and we just like chit-chatted. He's like, awesome.
He has a high energy level. I wish I had an ounce of his energy.
I'm telling you. And he has, his daughter is a couple weeks younger or older than my son, and I don't know how he does it. Well, his wife and daughter go to Greece for like 3 months a year. I told Brady anytime he wants to send me, I will go to Greece for 3 months, and he can focus on the real
bring
estate.
it, Brady. So Brady's working with you in the business.
Yeah.
How does that function with husband and wife?
Yeah, Brady is my husband, and he started as a buyer. That's how we met. He was a buyer. Yeah, my real estate love story. He really wanted this pool home on the water, and then I moved in it. So, and now 7 years later, we have a 3-year-old, and so he came. And I had the team at the time. It wasn't super functional. I will tell you, if you want to know what not to do with a team, I can tell you. And the
most valuable lesson of all, right?
The most valuable lesson of all of what not to do. Yeah. And I don't regret any of the things that I've done. But he came on, and it was just me, and like my team was my mortgage, my title, my mortgage rep, my inspector, all of that was the team at the time. And I think like a year and a half into it, I just got to the point where I was getting so busy, and it was like 2016, so the market was really moving, and he's a financial advisor, and so he was like, do you want help with things? And so he just started like little bit by little bit helping, and then one day he said something to a customer, and I was like, you need a license, because we are getting real close to real estate without a license. Right. And so he got licensed, joined the team. We've fired each other at least 50 times in the last 5 years. But the first couple of years, it was rough. I am not going to lie about it. You know, It was my business that he had come into with a significant experience in the workforce and in finance. So he had a lot of value. And
was he going like doing personally, you know, he had to go out and acquire his clients?
No,
that kind of financial advisor? Or?
Yes, correct. Okay. Yeah. So he owns his own financial advising company, and
so he's still doing that.
Yes, he is. Yeah. Okay. He has his like crew that he manages that just super meaningful relationships to him, and he's not really seeking more now because real estate is so busy. Right. But he came in, and I will tell you that Brady Nelson is a far better real estate agent than I am. He is so patient, and his brain just works that way, right? Like I could tell him like, hey, I have a question about the contract and about this part of the contract. He's like, you mean page 6, line 27,
right.
Paragraph C. He just, that's just how he is.
Right.
He's super smart in that way. And he's been an incredible asset. It's, they always say, like, the best thing you can do for your life and business is, like, there's just choosing your spouse.
Right.
And I absolutely agree with that. He is such an asset to our team. He now, as we've continued to grow and we have
his clients, the way he goes out from what I see, a lot of those guys, their job is networking all day long.
Yeah.
And they're probably getting the door slammed in their face more often than even a real estate agent just going, hey, are you looking to buy or sell a home? Mm-hmm. Everyone, well, no, not really, but maybe one day I'll take your card. A lot of people, financial advisor, dude, you're bugging me. Just leave me alone. So I think that's what I see his work. He took a lot of that. And I could see the networking and from a marketing standpoint, what he was doing in real estate just go hand in hand.
Absolutely. Well, and he dealt with people's homes when he, is assessing assets.
Advising.
So, when he's running the team pretty much completely on his own. I still am the mentor for our team, but I'm the marketing officer. We're actually formalizing our roles this week, which is super fun because I said CMO after my name the other day. And I put team leader after his, which was like a huge weight off my shoulders.
Right.
But it's really cool to have a life partner in your business that supports your dreams, and it's a lot of communication. I have been talking about this often on podcasts. We actually have a couples therapist that is the biggest asset to our business. And it's true.
It's a business expense now?
It is. It's totally a business expense. But it's honestly, it's like the best thing we've ever done. So if you work with your spouse, I highly recommend it just because it helps us learn how to communicate better. And it helps us develop safe.
Well, maybe my wife is listening. She's an agent, and she wants to come home and complain about, whatever, this mortgage, this and that, and why is this and that, and I'm like, okay, I've been dealing with this all day.
Yeah,
I kind of don't want to talk about it.
Right, and but it's hard because then you're for me, what I was noticing is I would have this business idea, and I would be like, it'd be at night, right? And I'd be telling my husband about this business idea, and my business partner would respond, and he'd be like, well, how are you going to advertise it? What's your budget? What is your framework? What's this? What's that? And I would be deflated, and it was starting to become our thing, and then I would go to him thinking
now you don't even want to tell him the vision because you don't want it to be deflated.
No, because I was like, my husband doesn't like it, and I just wanted you to support me.
Have you read Rocket Fuel?
No.
I just read it.
Yeah.
Sarah Rocco gave it to me.
Okay.
It's the visionary versus the
integrator.
Integrator.
And
yes.
I am the visionary, and he's the integrator.
It's not a long book at all. I read it in a few days.
Okay.
I highly recommend it.
Cool.
Both of you to read it actually. And who is the visionary and who is the integrator?
Oh, it's me, and he's the integrator.
Yeah.
But we learned that that's how we were having our conversation. So that in itself, that little tool alone, has been huge because now I brought him a huge idea last week because I do it at least twice a week, and he responded with the business partner answers, and I was like, hey, I need you to be my husband right now. Can we talk about it?
No.
As spouses.
Oh, come on.
And he's like, yeah, sure. So he took his hat off, and then he's like, okay, can I be the business partner now? And I'm like, you can let me live in happiness for 5 minutes, and then you can crush my dreams. But now we have these.
That is so great.
But it's good because
we got to go. I got to go. My wife. We got to go out because she needs to hear this and how you guys work, because that is exactly. Because she'll have her ideas from the real estate side.
Yeah.
And I'm telling her, hey, this is my vision, whether it's the podcast or running, the branch here, just, this, that. And then it's like, back and forth. And how you guys actually turn it off, that is precious.
It's been, I'm not lying, it's been a skill set that has been learned and, smoothed out and tweaked. But it really, I will say that the last year of our business has been by far the most successful. And we started couples counseling. I call it our couples coach because everything in my life is a coach. Right. So our couples coaching about a year ago, and it truly has made.
Was the initial theme to really direct to this?
Well, both.
Or we found this was the issue.
Yeah. So we went through some personal stuff as a family that was outside of our control that we had to address, and just like life, right? Like life's hard.
Yeah.
And so we went through some stuff there, and I was getting sober at the time because of what we were going through, and that's a whole challenge in itself. And so we still tried to work together. We still were living together. We were still hanging out with friends together. We were still trying to be parents together. So I had to look at what were we doing together, and it was good, right? Like everything in our life has been good, but like, how do I get to great, and how do I prevent it from, like it could be good and then you could be like on, rocky ice or like not solid ice in one step and you fall through. Right. And I don't want that kind of a situation. So we took the time to really decide, like, what's one thing that we had a business coach. We loved our business coach and we're doing really well with them, but we're like, what can help us live an elevated life? Because that's kind of our whole motto of everything is like, how do I live a life doing things I want to do?
Well, this kind of goes into and let's turn it back to the business side, because you talk about coach, and I think a lot of people, it was over a year ago. Well, I mean, the first coach that I went to was a podcast. I saw the ad, I was envisioning stuff that I read with John Maxwell, influence and credibility, and I'm like, oh, this might be something. So I researched, and I, went out there, and it sounds like you're spending a lot of money. But now I look back over, obviously it's probably like 15, 16 months ago when I started, but the podcast is coming up on a full year.
Woo! And
how that's changed my mindset, my relationships, and everything in my life.
Yeah.
And actually my coach he's gotten bigger too, and actually just invited to come out to Vegas for a couple of days. He's having a mastermind of business people, but because I hired a coach. And then that's led now I have my mortgage, coach from running the branch and so forth. I have that coach now as well. And because the more and more successful people I spoke to, they all either have a coach or have had a coach in their career. Yeah, I'm a firm believer that everyone needs a coach. And I mean, like, think about it.
Anyway, it's like the therapy coaching, right? Like, you're being coached on how to navigate tricky situations in your life with skills that are going to help in the future, right? So, gym, fitness trainer, personal trainer, that's a coach. They're going to teach you how to eat right. They're going to teach you the exercises to do.
Hold you accountable is the most important thing.
Navigate through it all, right? And all of this is hopefully something that you can use for the rest of your life, those skills. Business coaching. If you are in the long game for your business, you need a coach. I'm a firm believer that everyone needs a coach, and that I also believe everyone has a level up, and if you surround yourself with the right people, you're naturally going to go to that next level. So just by being in proximity to these people, a business coach, and there's coaching that is super affordable these days too, that doesn't have to be,
sometimes because they're doing it in groups, some of them, versus one-on-one.
Yeah. We have 2 group settings that we are involved in, and like our one-on-one does also have a group setting, but we have one coach. It's with Tessa Bella and John Marone, Real Estate Mastery Coaching. They are $500 a month. They have 2 opportunities, I believe, a week, and it's like an hour, and they do one that's like...
You come and go as you want.
Yep, it's real estate skills.
So they're putting out roughly 8 hours a month of
solid life-changing stuff, because one of them is on how to live a better life. So they'll bring in like a nutritionist, they had someone lead us through meditation and talking about the importance of meditation. And if you have a meditation practice and you are in the real estate industry, you already know that that's a game changer. And if you don't, try it for a week and you're gonna be think it's
it's one of those, generally they're not necessarily always been successful, but those coaches oftentimes hang with successful people. And you're actually getting some of that when you're actually interacting with the coach. Plus, it's, sometimes you can't go, your spouse if they're in a different industry, don't exactly know what you're kind of dealing with, and that coach is someone that you go, here's my ideas, here's this, and they can help bring you down, or at least get you narrow it down to get you on the track to accomplish some of those things.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like back to what we were saying earlier. You're not going to climb to the top of Mount Everest by following me because I've never been there. But, an actual trained guide who's been there is going to show you the best routes. They're going to tell you what to pack. They're going to tell you how long to expect it to take.
And you're going to be able to, you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Or have more success in this case in business.
Absolutely.
Quicker. So I have on here, I always ask this question, what do you do to stay sharp? You're you're with EXP, so you're recruiting, you're, and your team and so forth. What do you do to stay sharp? And obviously you have coaches. Are you a book reader, a podcast listener? Who do you like to tune in each week? Is there someone religiously that you like to listen to?
So I love Gabby Bernstein. She is, I guess, like a spiritual kind of coach, mentor. I listen to a lot of her stuff. She just talks about living a better life, and she's also in recovery. But she's probably who I listen to most consistently. I am a conference goer. I like to go to conferences that are going to help with specific areas. I used to just go to whatever, whenever, and now I've had to be more strategic as, there's more pulls on my time. But I really do enjoy going to conferences for the networking aspect, especially living in Northeast Florida. That's really how I built my business at the start, was through social media and networking at events, because people are always moving to Florida.
So if you're new, you have a lot of time on your hand. You're not getting calls and running listing appointments as maybe someone might be a couple of years ahead of you in your career, to grab these opportunities, even if it's at the local board, grabbing all the education. Don't just go, I got my C's, I'm done. No, go take all the classes.
Yeah. Well,
go to these conferences and
figure out what you like. If you want, I know when you're starting off, it's like take what you can get, right? But while you're finessing, like figuring out how to be stronger at your skills, I think that it's a good opportunity to find out what you like, because like if you could be a really good niche down buyer's agent for military buyers, that is phenomenal in certain areas. If you want to list only waterfront properties, and if you study and learn all of that, that's going to be the key.
Become the expert, become the resource for that. There's
2 ways, in my opinion, to build confidence. One is time on task, and can I say a curse word?
Yes, it's a podcast. You can say
and second is knowing your shit. And like those are the 2 ways
I wouldn't consider. I thought you were going to say something more.
No. No. I have a toddler, remember? Yes. Right. No, time on task and knowing your shit. So like if you don't have 10 years experience like I do, knowing what you're talking about is going to allow for you to
close the gap.
Yeah, close that gap, come across. Like I couldn't tell you bulkhead prices right now. So if you went up for a listing against me at a waterfront property and they asked those questions, you would win over me, right? Like I would prep before the appointment. But what I'm saying is like you're gonna win over an older lazy agent like me, who's not bettering themselves, but just like dialing in to figure out knowing everything you possibly can.
Or finding that 10-year agent and going hanging with them a little bit. Go and have lunch with them or whatever.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Listen to what do they do.
Well, and I think that's something I did. I sat in the number 1 top producer. His name was Danny Green. And I sat in his office on the floor with a yellow legal notepad and just wrote down what he was saying on the phone. I listened to him talk, and he just sat in his office when I had nothing else going on, because I could hear him negotiating deals. I could hear his language patterns.
Oh, that's powerful.
Yeah. And he's an absolute asset to the start of my career. Him and another man named Rich DeSigli, and Rich is still with Watson, and they just allowed for me to shadow them and to partner with them. And I think, as a young person, I got in when I was 26. It was brutal. I'm not going to lie about that. Sales, young, it's hard when you're young, especially, like, I felt like I looked like a little kid, like, who's going to let me sell their house?
Right.
And it was really, really hard. But I did find the people, and people didn't like like, a lot of people don't like new people in real estate. I don't know if you knew that, but that's also
a lot of things.
Yeah, right. Like new people don't get all the love all the time, but
if you have the confidence.
And you find the right people.
Right.
You know, like I found the right people. I found Rich. I found Danny. I found, like, there's still so many agents that I clung to while I was getting started that I could go to and cry. Because I'll tell you, it is hard. Or go to and say, man, like, I want to quit today. And someone could say to me, yeah, that sucks. That's a hard one, right? Like, your best friend just bought a house because they walked in the open house. That's horrible. Yeah. But guess what? Pick yourself back up and, like, go back out the door.
I mean, how many times did you want to quit?
Oh, God. This week? No, but a lot. Like, it was a lot. And I've cried on the floor where I've thought people were going to be loyal to me and they weren't. And I can picture in my first house the one that Brady bought with me, crying on that floor. You know, I was 3 years in, just like, why am I doing this? This person doesn't care about me. But then, like I said earlier, it's like, you gotta let it go and don't take it so seriously. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's a career. Take your job seriously. Know your contracts. Know the process.
I tell a lot of new, whether it's real estate agents or loan officers, I mean, the reality is your friends and family are around you. But when you first jump into a business, they know you.
Yeah,
so they know you
cousin,
don't know too much
right
now.
You're still the brother, sister, whatever.
Yeah, and they're going to see if you stay in it long enough. Now, there are some others that just love and whatever you do, they're going to support you and know that you're buying a house that they'll tolerate your inexperience and fumble through it, and eventually get there because they want to be your first client. But there's others that want to wait till you're 3 years in before they go, oh, okay, well, she's actually still doing it. I guess she knows what she's doing.
Yeah. Well, and I think at the end of the day, you know, I know myself, like, how I like to be sold to now, because that's something that I've learned, because then it helps me learn how to sell to others who are similar to me. And I love the sales process, and I want someone to, like, pursue me, right? I want someone to show me their value, and then I want to be able to work with them. And it's not my family and friends all the time. Yeah. You know, so I think don't take it so personally. It's not about you, right? People make decisions, especially big financial ones. To this day, our really good friends, people that stood in our wedding, just sold their house with another agent there in Jacksonville, and we don't really know why. We helped them buy it, but at the end of the day, it's just one of those things that, you know, we sat there and, like, for 15 minutes, we're like, well, maybe this, maybe that, maybe they're mad. Are they mad at us? No. Well, we still hang out with them. All right, whatever. Mm-hmm. And am I going to lose a relationship with someone I care about over like, there could be a million reasons why they didn't call us. And
I had an agent friend who, he actually kind of similar thing, and he said, you know, I went to that 30 seconds of in the past I would have gone off on him, but he's learned over time, you know, you got to live through the abundance, not the scarcity. Yeah. And it's like, okay, for whatever reason, you know, maybe, you know, they have other relationships, not just us. Yeah. And they felt that way. Okay, great. You know, because the more time you do that, it's taking you away from the other person that you need to be working with, because you have this negative air about you.
So I literally had this conversation. So our new intern is in the room right now, and she is 17 years old and going to be a senior next year. And the first thing I said to her yesterday was, like, are you cool with failing? Because you need to get comfortable and good with failing, and good with hearing the word no, and good with, like, things not going the way you planned them to be successful in this business. And I think that covers a lot of things.
It's a life lesson.
Yeah, it's totally a life lesson. And just, like, release attachment to the outcome. I think that's where, you know, with my non-attachment.
Enjoy the process. Yes. Don't be there just for the outcome.
I hate when people say trust the great process, ones
right? will tell you that. I mean, it's the process. You know, if you go on any of the motivational things. But let's turn to social media, because you brought that up just a few minutes ago. Tell me your vision. Here's my belief. I believe there's a very thin line across the top of real estate agents, successful real estate agents. Some have been doing it a while and obviously have a book of business or whatever you're talking about. But agents that are, you know, in your time frame or less, they're doing social media and are pretty good at it. And they're getting business from it. They'll tell you that. But then there's this whole second layer of agents who want to do it. And then as we saw at Rebar in a lot of the breakout sessions, there was multiple different social media breakout sessions with different titles. But there were those rooms were full. Mm-hmm. You had a lot of people in there. But a lot of those people, I guarantee today, are still not doing even just the simplest things.
Yeah.
What is your vision of social media and how you work it into your business?
Sure.
How important is it in your business?
So it is the absolute foundation of our real estate business. It is the number one place that we do our marketing. It is, I would say every single transaction we do, maybe 2% of transactions will have never seen us on social media. Right. But it is very rare that anyone comes to us, whether that's an agent-to-agent referral, anything through social media. I think it's super important. We're a people business, right? And our business card real estate agents have had their face on business cards for decades, right? And it's because we're dealing with an intimate purchase. The new business card is your social media. So my
well said.
Honest opinion is that your face needs to be on it. You need to show who you are as a person. You need to show that you have time on task, right? You need to show that you are competent at these skills. So putting out videos, getting into houses, doing tours, posting pictures of you doing some kind of real estate related activity, I think is an incredible way to just remind people super subtly that you are a real estate agent. And it's also a way to show I know exactly how much it costs to send my mailers out. It's the one neighborhood we farm, it's $270 a month to hit 600 houses or so, something. I can make a post that cost me and run an ad that cost me $25 and run it over 5 days and have 10,000 people see it. And so it's just, when you're talking bang for your buck, social media, there's nothing better than social media. And I understand that people don't want to put their face on video. I understand they don't like the way they sound, but I am sorry that I'm going to disappoint you. That's how you look and that's how you sound. And
very well put.
It's just the truth, right?
Yeah.
I now looking over my last 9 years of Facebook posts, I've had a baby, I've just gone through stuff, I've run marathons, so I've gone through being super, super in shape, I've gone to after having a baby, right? All sorts of...
Your life.
And guess what? If someone saw me in person during those times, I would have been in really good shape, and I would have looked like I just had a baby, right?
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like, that's me, and that's who I am, and... I mentioned... I
tell people that you have your friends and family around you love you no matter what condition
no one cares what you look like.
Right.
I challenge anyone listening who thinks that people do care. Like, are you watching people's videos and saying, "Oh, her hair's out of place. Oh, she doesn't have mascara on. Oh, did he wear that shirt yesterday in a video?"
Yeah, exactly.
No one cares. Exactly. So if you are serious, right? Like, you could not be on camera, but you're gonna be broke, or you can put your face on camera, get over yourself, and make money and build relationships and help people. Like, that's how I build relationships, is through social media. The amount of people who say to me, who hug Brady when they meet him, and Brady's like, "Oh, I've never met them before."
Exactly.
I'm like, well, they know you from Facebook.
Yeah, exactly.
Or tell me how big Elijah's getting, and I'm like, you've literally never seen him. But that's cool to me because I built relationships through that platform. My favorite story is I was at Publix after a run, super grimy and sweaty, picking out a Mother's Day card, and I hear, "Hey, Megan," and I was like, "Hey," he's like, "It's me, Carl from Facebook," and I'm like, "Oh my God," like, "Hey, Carl," he's like, "Good to see you," I'm like, "Yeah, great to see you, guy." So I grab my card, I run out, and I go home, and I'm talking to Brady, and I'm like, "Oh my God, this guy, I was sweaty." This was also 7 years ago, so I was still like, "Oh my gosh, I was sweaty," and he saw me in person sweaty, like a human does sometimes after they work out, and Brady goes, "There is no way that someone came up to you and said they saw you on Facebook." And I was like, "I swear to God, he's there. Megan, there's no way someone did that. And I was like, okay, fine. And 2 weeks later, we were at our favorite restaurant in Flagler Beach, and there's like a place where the bathrooms come out together. And I met him there, and this man walked up and said, hey, Megan, it's me, Steve from Facebook. And I was like, Steve! The biggest scene was like, how are you? Good to see you. Yada, yada, yada. We walked away, and I was like, I told you. He's like, you did tell me. You did.
Yeah. So, I'm hearing that a lot from the agents. I was talking to Melissa Ricks and Shonda Caponero, had them talking about how, even in our world, we're not of course, a lot of things people are doing are remotely. Yeah. But you're interacting, and then when you do run into each other at a social, you're like, oh yeah, we've been seeing each other's families or whatever back and forth on Facebook, and they are creating relationships. As much as people want to deny it, there's actually people are getting to know each other.
Yeah. Well, the same part of your brain lights up when you're sitting face to face, right? Like, so whatever part of my brain's lighting up is the same one that if I was watching you on a screen.
Right.
So my brain can't tell. Like, obviously, I know I'm sitting in a room with you, but like my brain can't tell the difference. And that's why when our favorite character dies on a movie we're watching or on a show, we have these emotional breakdowns. Like Glenn,
I cried at the end of 007. I'm just telling you.
Well, Glenn when Glenn died on The Walking Dead. I don't know if you've seen Walking Dead, but it was like he's the nicest character on the whole show. And then when he got killed, it was brutal. And I was sick for 3 days. Like I never met Glenn. Glenn's not real, right? Like, but I made this relationship with him. Right. So it's just so powerful, and it's really. I think that if you are a real estate agent and you are not putting your face on camera, you're missing a huge.
And it doesn't have to be perfect.
No.
It does not have. Actually, the more imperfect it is, it actually will get
spot on.
Yes.
Well, because you're a person, and that's all that if anyone is listening to this, and you can take one thing away from this podcast, is that social media is social media, right? So it's like social, like what you're doing in real life. So building those relationships comes from these different platforms and behaving how the platform wants you to behave, right? Yeah. But you're building those relationships, and the people want to see you being normal, like you said, making mistakes, flubbing over things, post bloopers, wearing, your hair in like for me, like I remember one of the first sunrise videos I did. I just went live at the sunrise, and I didn't have makeup on. My hair was a mess, and I literally looked at myself and was like, "Oh gosh!" And then I remembered, "Oh my gosh, I'm at sunrise." If I had my hair done and my makeup on, people would be like,
"Yeah, that wouldn't be real."
No.
What time did you get up?
Exactly, and that's not relatable, right? But like being at sunrise with my hair in a messy bun and a t-shirt with no makeup on is totally
spontaneous. So one of the things I had on here is a couple. As we're running down on time, I just a couple content tips. What are some things that you do regularly? I know I do see you just winging it from your office seat. You do that a lot. What are some other content things that you've done that seems to get a response or a following?
So we're really lucky two things. If you're in Northeast Florida, you're really lucky, I think, for content purposes. And also, if you're in the real estate industry, you're really lucky. Everyone loves houses, right? And everyone loves life in Florida, Northeast Florida especially. So I think that if you can grab on, my biggest success was when I was consistently going to the sunrise just about every day during the week and posting the same feet walk out, pan right, pan left consistently.
It's Wednesday, sunrise. It's Thursday, sunrise.
At the same time every day. And that was one thing people always messaged me about. To this day, they say they missed my sunrise videos, and I'm like, my toddler is now more of a toddler, so I'll get back to you in 10 years. But just finding something that one day, or one time a day, or one day a week you can post consistently, I think is a great idea. Getting into model homes, there are so many communities that you could just pop in and say, hey, I'm over here at Beacon Lake at the Dreamfinders Boca, or I'm at Beach Walk, check out this huge lagoon. I did a Facebook Live at Beach Walk. I just happened to be there for a networking event and did this Facebook Live, and it got 4,000 or 5,000 views just in 3 days because people have seen it or have heard of it.
And how long are your you do something like this? Is this something you try to carry out for a couple minutes, or 60 seconds, 2 minutes, and done?
So I think general rule of thumb, if you're talking live videos, go as long as you're providing value. So there's a whole strategy behind that, but you can, I like to go live from community events, sunrise. That way I can go live longer without having to be the talking voice, right? Or
the focal, visual focal. You're focusing
so I can
on
say,
sunrise.
hey, I'm over here at, First Friday in Flagler Beach. Here's the whole event, and show that off instead. I think a good rule of thumb is 2 minutes or less for pieces of content. You're going to lose people's attention span, obviously. Try to capture them in the first 3 seconds with a hook, or at least showing your face. As for longer content, Facebook Lives, as long as you're providing value to people. And I think it's a great... Facebook Live, to me, is like the best video, because no one expects it to be perfect. They expect you to be a human, talking to them. It's so relatable. Facebook's pushing it, or Instagram Live. They push it. And it's the number one tuned into type of content that's out there, because it's the closest to reality TV, which is the number one thing watched, right?
Short to YouTube, right?
Yeah.
So you said something, the hook. So we have a room full of brand new agents, and we talked like at Rebar, people that just wanted to give us as an example of a hook. How would you start one of your videos, for example?
So you always want to start with what you're going to talk about, right? So like, let's say we're going to do a video here, and I would say, have you been wanting to learn how to start your podcast? Today I'm here. Hi, it's Megan. Or are you in the real estate industry and you wanted to learn how to start a podcast?
Right.
Today I'm going to teach you 3 ways to do that. Hey, it's Megan with eXp Realty. Today I'm with Tracy Hayes, who's at episode 70 of his podcast, and here's what we're going to talk about. Yep. So like, go right into like a problem someone has, a story, like what kind of story are you going to tell?
Right. What kind of tip you're going to give?
Yeah. I say like 3 is pretty, like a 3-piece information is pretty much what people can handle. You want to do hook, intro, your meat and potatoes, and then call to action. That is the foundation of any video.
So you're finishing in like, hey, if you guys have any questions, call me. EXP Flagger, or give your phone number or whatever. And direct message me if you're on Facebook, whatever. Yeah. Excellent.
You always want to have a call to action, because then people know, like, subconsciously people know what to do, right? Like, everyone knows how to call you, most likely, if you're an agent. But you want to remind them to call you over and over again. So.
Yes. Well, I said I was going to come back to this question, so I'm going to go right to it. Why should agents be considering to go to EXP, and specifically your team?
So, as I mentioned earlier, I really do believe that everybody has a level up, and if you surround yourself with the right people, you're naturally going to get to that next level. I also believe that life is way too short to work anywhere or with anyone that you are not 100% aligned with or not 100% happy with. And I also believe that the best life that we can live is that of abundance, and that we shouldn't have to worry about where our next deal is going to come from or where the next dollar is going to come from. Right. And I have found that through working at EXP, that I've been surrounding myself with agents doing more than me, and naturally I've been elevated to that. Our compensation plan is such that rewards the agents. We have accounts for our son that we never would have had 3 years ago.
Right.
And actually,
I think my kid's it's going to be the richest 22-year-old around. But
right.
Yeah. And because we saved up all the money, they're going to get scholarships. So that's just Murphy's Law.
Yeah. But that's important, right? Especially for me as a parent of a young child, thinking about, do we want more? It's expensive, right? Life is expensive. So being able to keep our commission dollars and having multiple opportunities to earn additional revenue from doing my job, right? Like, all I do is sell houses. All I do is invite other agents to join our company, and because of that, I get compensated. And so I really love that.
I'm gonna give you an endorsement here, because, like I said, I've spoken to a lot of top agents. There's a lot more out there I haven't got to, thank goodness, because I'm going to go on for a while doing this. I enjoy it. Someone asked me, said they didn't realize they had to ask you if I still originate loans. Yes, I still originate loans. I love the podcast, but I don't get paid for this part. Yeah. But I enjoy doing it, and obviously getting to meet you. But if there's anyone in Palm Coast that should be tried, it's just simply the energy and what you're doing And the fact that you are going to all these things, you're going to Ryan Serhant, and we didn't even get into the conference you were at last week, but you were putting on, you're having a leader that's like bringing in a ton of education and the value that you are going to be able to pour to your the people that want to follow you.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing, right? Like we can work 24/7, 365 in real estate industry and still not get everything done. And I did that. And I was tired, and I was burnt out, and my son was the first one dropped off, and the last one picked up. And my husband and I talked about real estate all day long, 24/7. And we hit a bottom. It wasn't like the bottom, but we hit a bottom for us where we looked at each other and we're like, what are we doing? Right? Money's great. Life is great, right? On paper. We had it all, but we weren't living fulfilled lives. And so when we aligned ourselves with this company, we surrounded ourselves with dreamers and doers, and we were already dreamers.
Integrators.
And integrators.
Gotta have some integrators in there, otherwise you can't get anything done.
Exactly. And so we elevated because of that. And I honestly work significantly less than I did before joining this company. And a lot of it has to do with being able to take a step back and focus on what do I want to do for the rest of my life, right? Like, life is so short. And if you are unhappy at your job, like, find a new one. We're not trees, right? We can all move. But that's what really allowed for, when we made the decision we were going to open our own or join EXP, we did so because of the compensation plan. And now because we're now living an elevated life, we're able to help other agents do that, and whether that be through working with us at EXP or any of the events that we do or any of the mentorship that we offer too. So
I'm gonna wrap things up. I call these my 2-minute warning questions. Is it more important who you know or what you know?
Who, all day.
Yeah.
All day, who you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can figure out the what later, but if you know the right person. But, well, mentioning who you know, Ryan
led you to a $12 million deal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, Ryan had a referral in Florida when I happened to be up there, and we are going to a listing appointment on Friday.
Yeah.
So, it's all about who you know,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
I didn't know I didn't know what the listing was, but I live in Florida. What can I help you with, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, and now I found the right person. I'm the conduit to the right person who's in that area, and now we're partnering together.
Right.
So,
what's on you and Brady's travel bucket list?
Travel bucket list. Oh goodness, Hawaii. We sold our house earlier this year, took advantage of the market, and we're going to Hawaii for Christmas.
Well, did you go buy another one?
We also went and bought another one, and we're also probably going to buy more. I know.
Palm Coast is such an interesting market.
Yeah.
Because for a while it was like, oh, well, just go down to Flagler. They're a little cheaper down there. Now I don't. These canal homes have been there since the 80s and so forth.
It's wild. Yeah, it's very, we still get the folks who think they want to live in St. John's, and then they find out about taxes there, and then they're like, nope. So
the fact that if you're not in a CDD community, you're not getting the amenities. So they look at that part and then go to, Palm Coast, although, because tax-wise, I think you're a little higher millage rate-wise, but as far as the amenities and so forth, it is a different clientele.
Yeah.
It's from St. John's to...
Yeah, that's what we focus on all of Northeast Florida, because people end up, like you said, like they're like, we didn't even know about Palm Coast, but we drove from St. Augustine to Daytona and saw the signs, and now we want to look here. Yeah. And it's the shortest exit off of 95 to the ocean, which I just think is incredible.
All right, this is my last question, obviously, in the mortgage world. Now, I'm gonna pretense this because I've been asking, what's the number one thing in your referral partner? Well, the number one thing everyone is saying is communication. What's number two? And whether it's a loan officer or any of your, you talked about your team, your home inspector, and what do you require out of them?
I just want someone who can admit that when they make a mistake, to be honest with you, somebody who's humble, somebody who's authentic, and somebody who has integrity, that can say, you know what, I messed up, but I'm going to fix this, and then can figure out how to fix it, of course.
Not wait to the last minute.
No.
Immediately call you, hey, hold on a second, we got an issue.
Yeah.
I'm working through it, just want to let you know, because if it becomes greater, then... you're ready.
There's nothing that pains me more than and I think it's because it's how we do our business. So it doesn't get mirrored if I have a referral partner or anybody who's not owning it and blaming it's his, her, him, her. That just comes across to me as unprofessional. It comes across to me as insecure, and it doesn't make me want to trust you. If you can sit there and say, holy crap, Megan, like, I messed up. I'm like, okay. So many things happen in the real estate industry that mistakes.
That's why the computers can't do it.
Yeah. and mistakes happen, and fix it, right? Yeah. Like, just fix it. And that's all that, and just be kind. Like, if you cop an attitude once, I'll forgive you. But when you start to be unkind or nasty about other agents or about other people in the industry, then next.
Interesting.
So. Yeah.
Thanks.
Kindness goes a long way.
Kindness goes a long way.
It does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming on today.
Yeah.
It's a great show. I'm going to put your contact information in the show notes. That's what I wanted to say. We'll put her contact information in the show notes, so you want to reach out to Megan, but obviously you're all over social media. Megan Farrell-Nelson. Megan Farrell will pop it up because on LinkedIn it's Megan Farrell.
Yep.
You didn't add the Nelson yet on LinkedIn. That's another reason why I got to update it.
Right.
Brady, she didn't add the Nelson on. So, but yeah, she's on LinkedIn, obviously all over Facebook, Instagram. You can find her, EXP in Flagler County.
Yeah,
Florida.
and feel free, reach out with any questions. If you need any help or, even a one-on-one little brief social media audit, I'm happy to do that with you. Just reach out and say.
Or how good looking Ryan is.
Yeah, yeah. My husband's better looking, though.
Thanks, Megan.
Thank you, guys. See you soon.
Thank you.